Hey everyone, how's it going? Dale here. Today we're doing a color comparison of all the iPhone 15 Pro colors here. So of course we have the white titanium, black titanium, blue titanium, and natural titaniums here, along with their boxes right here, just so you can see the differences in color there. Now just as a heads up, we are going to do a little bit of a size comparison in the video. So the white and the black are the max versions, all these are just the normal standard sizes. So let's go ahead and get these boxes out of the way and get started talking about the colors, which is of course my favorite thing to look at every year with the new iPhone releases. It's for some reason I just really like colors, and I have a hard time picking every single time that a new color comes out. This year it was a little bit easier than most years, just because I was just kind of hoping that the titanium color was kind of leaning towards gray. It ended up that is the case, and I just instantly, I was like, yep, that's the one for me. So my phone is right here on the right. Of course, we're gonna do very different lighting conditions and everything later in the video, the B-roll throughout the video and everything, so you can kind of get a real sense of what these colors look like, and like just imagine like as if you were playing around with them in the different lighting conditions and all that. And hopefully it kind of helps you if you're deciding on what color to get. By the end of it, you're either more confused or less confused. So hopefully I do one of the two. Now, first off, I do want to start off with the white titanium, just because they called it white titanium, and I want to show you the difference between actual white and the white titanium. This is still kind of like that silver shiny back that we've gotten over the past couple of years. Every year it's gotten progressively a little bit whiter, a little bit less silvery, less kind of shiny and pearlescent. And this year, no different. It's kind of done the same thing. It kind of looks almost exactly the same as last year. I might be able to get some B-roll to compare it because my brother has that one. So if that's the case, I might be kind of overlaying it right now. If I'm not, then we'll get last year's footage and kind of put side by side, so you can kind of see the difference here. But yeah, it still has that, and I kind of wish it was just kind of pure white, because I love kind of the Stormtrooper look. And while this does have it, you can see the difference here with an older iPhone. That white, look how bright that is. It just looked really clean. And of course, if you don't like milky whites, you're gonna hate this old phone and you're gonna like this new one. And if that's the case, then you're really gonna like the 15 Pro and the white titanium. Now, next up here, we have the black titanium, which, as many people have requested, they've been wanting an actual black phone. Apple just seemingly does not want to give you a black phone. This is the 15 Plus right here next to the 15 Pro Max. And you can see that even the 15 Plus is a little bit darker and actually leaning more towards that black aesthetic than the 15 Pro right here. So you're not getting quite a black phone. This is last year's 14 Pro. You can see that it got maybe the tiniest bit darker. It's kind of hard to tell. It's just only a dash darker than last year's. But yeah, it's still kind of a gray, space gray. Not sure why they started calling it black and space black, because it's still gray and not really black. So if you've been hoping for a jet black iPhone, a true black iPhone, it's still not here. Maybe sometime in the future, but not yet. Next up, of course, the blue titanium here. You might think that it looks like Pacific Blue from a couple of years back. Do not be deceived. Please do not think that. If you loved Pacific Blue, this is not Pacific Blue. It's much darker, much more toned down. It looks like Pacific Blue when you really shine light at a specific angle, but when you don't shine that light, which is most of the time, it actually almost never looks like that in person. Like right here, how you see it right there, that's not how it looks. It looks more like this in person. Like it's very dark. It looks almost like a black phone most of the time. And those blue hues only show up when you really hit light on it. It's not a great color, but at the same time, it's also not bad. It looks kind of good with cases. I'm kind of like really torn on the color still. Now, of course, now we have the headliner color, which last year, let me pull this out here, we had the deep purple color. So now it's deep purple versus titanium. And I'm gonna say titanium, but it's called natural titanium because technically it's like the natural color of the actual titanium right here. So if you have an Apple Watch Ultra, it looks quite similar, not quite exactly the same in color. This one is a little bit, I think, more silvery, and I kind of like that more. And yeah, I like that. It's a silver phone. It looks more like stone-ish, and I saw in the other video, in the case video, maybe even clay would have been a good name for this. I really like it, and I'm happy I actually chose this. Last year, I was quite unhappy once I actually got the purple and kind of put it in darker lighting condition. I was like, I only like it when it's very shiny. When it gets dark, I didn't like it, so I returned it and swapped it back out for the space black. So definitely take into account the lighting conditions as to how it's going to look most of the time, because even this natural titanium, it's going to look darker kind of like this most of the time. So if you like that, you're going to like it. And see, the deep purple looked like that most of the time. I wasn't really a big fan of that. But yeah, this natural titanium color, I think it's great because it's not too crazy, right? Like it's a very neutral color. So it's not going to go out of style very quickly. It's not going to feel like last year's color, like possibly the deep purple might feel. However, when you do choose the color that Apple is headlining, next year, it is going to feel like you do have last year's phone, right? The silver one still looks like the silver from last year. Very small changes on the sides and stuff that only some people would notice. Black still looks kind of the same. And the Pacific blue, I mean, if you have the blue, if you had a Pacific blue, then somebody might confuse the two and think you have the latest one. So I don't know. It really depends. There's many variables. If you care about that, if you care about people knowing you have the new phone, then of course you would want titanium. And if you don't want to look like you have the old phone once the new phones come out, then you might want to go with more of a classic color that Apple doesn't change very often, if that makes sense. But overall, if you're leaning towards the natural titanium, I say go for it. If you like it right there, go for it, get it. You're going to like it in person. In fact, every color right there, if you like it, you're going to like it in person because they look basically exactly like that. The blue may be right there, a little bit darker, right there, a little bit more toned down. And that'll do it. Now here, let's see real quick the bottom, see if it's tinted in the same way the normal 15s are. And they are. The actual inside of the USB-C ports, if you kind of take a look inside, they're actually tinted to each color. So if you're looking out for fake models, I don't think the fakes would actually do that, but who's to say really? You can see that there. Everything's tinted, even the screws. The screws on the normal 15 are not tinted, but the inside is tinted on the 15s, which is worth noting. But yeah, look at that. You can kind of see the colors there on the sides as well. Looks really, really, really good. Again, in terms of durability, who knows? But that moves us on to our sponsor for this video, CASETiFY. Now, CASETiFY has a bunch of cases to protect all of your phones, specifically, of course, the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro. They have the Impact, Ultra Impact, Bounce, and Ultra Bounce cases, all of which are going to protect your phones from drops. However, their latest case, the Ultra Bounce, is just out of this world. It's actually 10 times the military grade standard and can survive up to a 32.8 foot drop. So I actually here customize my own with their customizer online. I personally do a lot of indoor rock climbing, so I called this one Crux here. I wrote that instead of my actual name. I think that's just pretty cool. I put this blue accent there and chose the font, and it just looks really, really slick. Now, the great thing about the Ultra Bounce case is that it actually comes with a built-in protector for your lenses. Now, I've seen a lot of people attach the actual protectors to the lens, but I think this scenario is better where I have this really powerful case that's going to protect my phone when I go rock climbing or really do anything extreme like biking or anything in case it falls. And then when I'm done and I don't want to carry a larger case, I can just remove this and go back to a normal case like their Impact case right here with no edges or anything. That way it's more minimal. And now I don't have anything on my lens covering it because I personally don't like to cover the lenses. So it allows me to cover the lenses very situationally, and I really like that. Now they have a ton of prints to choose from, and they have a lot of collaborations with popular artists. Here, for example, is one of my favorite cases that they have is this Dino print, which is absolutely fantastic, and it goes great with the kind of lighter phones, but it really works with all of them. So here it is on the white titanium Pro Max. Now this is their Impact case, and this is still 4 times the military grade standard. So this is going to still take drops and falls like a champ and protect your phone. And of course you still have MagSafe, so all your accessories are going to work perfectly. So standby on your nightstand is going to work perfectly with these cases, no issue. And again, this is a Pro Max right here. So the magnets are plenty strong. And now here, since the Ultra Bounce is their latest and 10x military grade, we're going to actually do a drop test like we did last year with their latest case last year, and see how well the phone does with that. Now make sure to go to the link down below in the description and click the link casetify.com/stargadgetsyt to get 15% off your order today. It will automatically apply at checkout, And again, thanks to CASETiFY for sponsoring this video. So here we imagine we're going outside and you're kind of just fumbling with your keys a little bit, and boom, you drop it on the cement outside your door. As you can see, the phone is perfectly fine. Nothing has happened to it. Even if there were rocks on the floor, it'd be perfectly fine because the camera is protected. And I also have a screen protector on here just in case. Now second, for something a little bit more extreme, imagine you're walking down the stairs and you drop it down the stairs. This is kind of a nightmare scenario, especially since these are concrete stairs. And you can see the phone survived this perfectly, literally no issues. I know that if my phone drops with this case, it's gonna be perfectly fine. And it's also gonna do that while keeping the phone still relatively slim, and also with really cool designs that kind of match my vibe, especially with my custom case. So let's go ahead and actually stack these real quick. Let's look at the sides, the actual titanium, talk a little bit more about that, because there have been some things in the press about some smudges and stuff staying on there. And so let's smudge them up. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and just friction burn these all real quick here. And here we go. There's your first live look at all of them. Okay, we lost some skin here. Let me clean that real quick. Alrighty, so there you go. Here you can see the differences. If you look very close, you will notice some discoloration around the actual buttons themselves. It's very slight, and that's for you to kind of decipher if that bothers you or not, and on which color it bothers you the most. Of course, the lighter and brighter the color, I think the less noticeable the discoloration is going to be over time. Who's to say really, but that's just my educated guess here. I think the blue one and the black one here are showing it a lot, but also actually surprisingly, I do see that ring around the white as well. So it's just going to be an issue with the titanium. You can see the actual fingerprint smudges here. They are noticeable on basically all of them, honestly. More noticeable on the dark colors as standard, but noticeable on all of them. Real quick here, one thing to note is that the sides on the aluminum are still much better at preventing fingerprints, and so is actually the back on the normal 15, which is very interesting as well. I'm not sure what difference between the materials is, but this attracts less fingerprints here, and the aluminum is just much nice and cooler to the touch as well than the titanium. The titanium feels like a mix right in between the stainless steel and the aluminum, like right in the middle. So the aluminum still has the properties that I love the most on the feeling of the phone, which is like cold to the touch, very nice and matte feeling. I like that still more on the aluminum than the titanium. However, the titanium is a huge step in the right direction in terms of how the phone feels for me. So I'm very happy with the changes in comparison to the stainless steel, which I absolutely just have always despised. I've considered in the past downgrading phones to non-pro versions just because of how slimy the stainless steel feels, and I've just never been personally a fan. It's held up great over the past year. I've dropped this a million times with and without a case, and it's taken all the hits like a champ, but I just really don't like the way that it feels. Now moving on, I want to go ahead and stack these and actually show you all the colors here a little bit closer up. But yes, here's all the colors right there, a little bit closer up, different angles. We'll also doing what talking and texting in a sec. That way you can kind of see them from a distance. Look at how it changes. Every color changes. Unlike the normal 15s, which don't change whenever you turn them, every color here kind of has a different shade here in the brightness and the darkness. And it's very interesting, so I definitely would take all this into account when you're picking. The black one, of course, is going to change the least. It's a very solid color. It doesn't really have much of a sheen to it. But yeah, and then a little bit farther out here, just so you can see that, the blue is actually very noticeable in this scenario. Like out in the sun, the blue would definitely shine a lot, and you notice it quite a bit in comparison to the other colors. You can see that there. And a little bit further back. Yeah, very noticeable. And so yeah, let's do one at a time here, just so you can see this space black here. Look at that right there. How does that look? And did I just say space black? I meant titanium black. Same thing. How does that look here? There it is. I'm texting. It just looks classic, timeless, simple. But then again, people don't know. Do you have this year's phone, last year's phone? If you care about that, I guess something to consider. Next up, we have the natural titanium right here, which of course, it also looks very classy and timeless. I personally really like the look of it. And here you can see it kind of like, just imagine like I'm from a distance texting. It kind of just looks like a silver kind of stone color. It almost doesn't look like an iPhone because it's so different to everything we've had in the past. And then if I'm talking on the phone here, there you can see it. And yeah, I think it's immediately a very classy and understated color. I don't think you're really showing off or anything. It's not too poppy or bright. I'm really a big fan of it. It's becoming one of my top colors of all time, honestly. And not better than the midnight green for me, but definitely really close. Next up, the blue titanium. How is that? It's growing on me a little bit the more that I look at it. You can see it there. It does kind of have like that shine, right? Like as it moves, it shines around. It just doesn't have quite that wave look that I'm kind of looking for, like a ocean vibe, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more subdued. For some reason, it reminds me of like older kind of colors of blue. So like there's like Camrys, and like the Model 3 has a deep blue like this. It's I'm not sure. It's definitely more serious, right? Someone maybe older doesn't really want something too fun. But of course, if you're young and you like it, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Here it is texting. Pew, 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 pew. And you can kind of notice the difference. My shirt is kind of like a blue a little bit. You got the comforter there. It's like a blue. So there it is. Yeah, it's not bad. If you like it, definitely all power to you. It's just not my type of blue, really. Last but not least, the white titanium. It's going to be noticeable from like 10 miles away. Look at that. The camera accents are very noticeable. The module. It does have the Stormtrooper look overall. I think if you don't compare it directly to a white phone, then it's not going to look like it's off-white or anything. It is going to look white. So that's pretty good. And then here while you're texting, blah, 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 blah. How does that look? They all look good. Titanium for me, I think after using Space Black or the blacks for the past 3 years, I just kind of need a change to feel like I actually have a different phone just because they're so similar. But yeah, the black for me would have definitely been the choice, I think, still, if I hadn't used it for that long. But the titanium, I think, is just so special. And I keep saying I think because honestly, I haven't grounded all my thoughts quite just yet, especially since we're building on this together, right? We're figuring this out as we go. But here we have them all again. Oh, and my top camera died. Dang it. Alrighty, now that we have it all back here kind of layered out, you can see them again all together there. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about kind of more crazy reasons as to why not to get a color or get a color. First one is visibility. It's not something I've included in the past, but you know, as you get older, you realize that a lot of people have a lot of different issues, and if you have bad vision, contrast, if you know someone that does and you're getting this as a gift, then a brighter phone does make a huge difference when you're trying to search for it in a couch, in a bed, on a nightstand. It doesn't really matter. Of course, you can always buy a really bright case for it, but just talking about the actual phone color itself, the white, for example, is really going to be super noticeable from a distance. And so if you lose it in a couch, if you lose it anywhere, you're going to be able to see it. For example, if you've ever been indoor bouldering, there's mats on there that are black. If you put this phone on that mat, you can see it from a mile away. If you put the black phone, you won't be able to really quickly distinguish it from the mat. So if someone were to pick it up, you wouldn't really notice. Same would apply at a gym or something like that, right? If you put it on a machine, on a bench press, anything like that, same thing again. It's an obscure scenario, but definitely something to keep in mind, because even when you do put a clear case on these, the visibility still shines through, right? If I put it here, you can see that it's still super bright of a phone and it shines through that case. And then here on the black phone, even though we have that white ring around it, it does really blend in. It's gonna be black, it's gonna be dark. And so aesthetic matters, but also visibility. And when you lose it or something, it's gonna matter. If you drop it in a pool, if you drop it in a lake and you're looking from it from above, random things, but things happen, and in that scenario, those things can come into play. Number 2 is how they're gonna look with cases. A simple example here with this CASETiFY case, this pink and the blue, it kind of does work, right? But then if I do the this color right here, the one that I customized myself, it doesn't really work with the blue color in my opinion. It just clashes with the blue that I added here. It's fine because it's a dark color, so it's gonna blend. It doesn't really matter. But does it really match? Not as much as it does here. If we were to put it onto here, let's just imagine it's on there because it's the Max model. But you can see how good that looks on the white phone. On the black phone, it's just gonna match the dark, right? It's gonna look really good as well. And of course, the one that I got it for, this one, it looks really good as well. So depending on what colors you want for the case, that does kind of matter. Like if your favorite color is blue, a blue case might actually look best on a white phone. So, you know, this or that really depends. Like that accent of the white looks really cool with this cloud. Does it look as cool with the blue? Not really, not really. And that's gonna translate into any case that you wanna get or customize or do anything with, right? It all matters. Like for example, I don't think the natural titanium looks good there either. So the white and the black look best with this one. And lastly, let's go back to smudges. Let me smudge these backs up crazily. The backs do a really, really great job of not smudging up. It's actually really impressive. The worst one here is going to be the black. I think second worst blue, third worst the natural titanium, and then the best is going to be the white in terms of hiding smudges. And you know, it really depends on how much you really actually care. These backs are quite easy to just kind of wipe real quick with anything really, and they'll just clean right back up. But here, again, if you kind of shine the sides here, you might be able to see the smudges around the Apple logos. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but they're there, especially on the blue and the black. So if you want to not, you know, show the smudges as much as possible, you got to go with one of the brighter colors, right? If you don't mind that, then the dark colors are going to be just fine. If you're going to case it up, it's going to be just fine too, especially because the cases are even easier to wipe than the actual phone. And then the edges, I think the tough thing with this is that it stands to be seen how well they're going to actually hold up and the color is going to come off. But let's assume for a second that this is kind of more like aluminum. Well, when you start scraping these and actually using it and, you know, wear it out, you are going to have maybe white lines on the black one because the natural titanium color is the natural titanium. So once you start to begin to scratch into this, you are going to get those kind of white fine scratches. Are you going to be fine with that? Or are you going to hate it? I don't know. Like, are these buttons actually going to wear out with your nail over time? Personally, I don't want to really risk that. I think the titanium, I like it enough where like, I'm like, cool, let's go with that one. And I also have somewhat of the visibility thing that I talked about. It's a good medium on all fronts where I'm like, this is the way to go for me, even though it's going to be the most popular color, probably the one that most people get. It doesn't really matter. It's the one that I ended up liking the most. So that's what I'm going with for me. At the end of the day, it's just colors to a phone. Obviously, this is making more of a deal than it is. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big issue. It is a lot of money to spend. And so that's why it's kind of like a big deal to kind of us as we're kind of deciding on what to get and everything. But it's not the end of the world. Whatever you like the most, get it. I know that I said I kind of don't like the blue, but ultimately what matters is what you like. And if you like the blue, I actually love the fact that someone likes the blue because I don't really like it and I wish I could like it. But it's a little bit just too toned down for me. I like really bright blues. I love the iPhone 15's blue. And I know that a lot of people would actually hate that blue. So, you know, you got to pick and choose your poison. You like what you like, you hate what you hate. And for me, I really like that iPhone 15. Not so much the 15 Pro's blue, but in some angles, it does have a really nice quality to it. And so yeah, this is the iPhone 15 Pro in all the colors. Again, we have natural titanium, white titanium, blue titanium, and black titanium right there. Hopefully this kind of gave you an idea of how the colors look in person and what you can expect from it if you are going to get it, or if you're not getting about it, but you're just thinking about it, you just want to see them. Doesn't matter. Thanks for watching this video. I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.